You know, guys, Mark Clattenburg may be going to Saudi Arabia, but there is no truth to the rumor that we are taking USFanTV live to Saudi Arabia. We're staying right where we are. We're not going to go after the money like Clattenburg. What do you think, Chris? Should we stay here, even
I
if we
mean,
get one
I,
of those
I'm I'm
big
willing to
offers?
I'm willing to entertain some offers. So if anybody's got enough money, by all means. But yeah, I don't think we're going anywhere.
This is US Fan TV Live. We talk about soccer in the United States and things in kind of that orbit. We have, as usual, I'm Pat. We have Chris.
Howdy.
And tonight we have Gianluca Lia, all the way from Malta, where it is actually Friday morning. Hey, Gianluca.
Hello, everyone. Yes, as you said, it's 3 in the morning. I'm catching up with some NBA action at the moment, so it's a pleasure for me to be with you. I've been following you for the past week, so I'm here to discuss US soccer and anything else related with you.
Tell us about yourself real quick. You're a journalist. You write about soccer, and you also you're kind of a fan of the United States, and aren't you? In the United States national teams.
Yes, exactly. So I'm a journalist for the Malta leading newspaper, Times of Malta, and I work also as a media officer for the Malta women's football team. So my first love, let's say, for US soccer was for the women's team. I started following it in 2007. And then gradually I started to take a look at MLS. Obviously, David Beckham joining LA was something big for us Europeans. We never heard about MLS before. Then when he went there, kind of.
Yeah, that was kind of the point here where
Yeah, a lot of Americans had never heard of MLS before that too.
It kind of stopped being viewed as a minor league sport here and started to get some serious attention after he came here. You're a Toronto FC fan, right?
Exactly.
How did you make them your team?
Well, I'm still the final still hurts to be honest. So, but at the end of the day, I think I'm confident of the team because Toronto's kind of a different team from the other MLS. They have a project. They keep the same players. They have a great academy, and I think they're on the right path to be dominant, even though American soccer is unpredictable. So
yeah, it is definitely unpredictable. And I've said before, I'm kind of obliged to be a Chicago Fire fan, living so close to where the Fire play. But if I have a second team in MLS, it's definitely Toronto. Not only because of Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore, I've got friends in that city we visit sometimes, but like you said, it feels like they have a vision on how to be a big club, and that's exciting. So I think you definitely picked a good MLS club. Tonight we are talking about who we think Bruce Arena might call in among the European-based guys. We got a sense during Camp Cupcake of who he likes MLS wise, and I guess in the case of Villafana Liga MX wise. But tonight we're talking about who we think are the locks, who we think are the fringe guys, who might be a surprise call up from the European-based guys for next month's qualifiers. And I don't like we were talking before we went on the air. I don't expect them to go too crazy here because it's incredibly important that we get at least 4 points out of those two games. And we can't afford not to at least win one of them. So I don't think he'll mess around too much, but my locks, I'll give those away right now. Pretty obvious here. Fabian Johnson, Christian Pulisic, DeAndre Yedlin, Bobby Wood, John Brooks, and if he's healthy, Jeff Cameron. Chris, what's your take on those? Am I right on? Am I off?
Yeah, I mean, I would say of those six, you're looking at six starters right there. So I think those are absolutely correct. Cameron, yeah, I think Cameron, the longer he's not playing, becomes more of a question mark. I could see him getting called up, maybe even if he's not, say, fully match fit, just to come in and keep getting prepared, because I think he will be such an important part of kind of the run over the summer. But yeah, I think when you look at I wouldn't even consider the games that we need to win one of these games in March. I really think they're kind of both must-win games, and it's not even that the U.S. can't qualify for the World Cup without, realistically, we could probably lose both those games and still have a good chance of qualifying. But I think the fans need the support or need the reinforcement of victories. And so I think these games are borderline must-wins. And in that case, yeah, you're looking at Fabian is probably the best player the U.S. has right now. Cameron in probably the top 3 or 4. Pulisic maybe number 2. So yeah, you're really looking at the top of the list. And Yedlin is playing so well in the championship in England that and improving his defensive abilities that he's I think the lock at right back, short of an injury or something I don't know untoward happening. Yeah, he's your guaranteed number 1 at right back. So really you're looking at roughly half the starting lineup just in those 6 guys to already be in there. I think you could probably put Guzan in there as a lock at number 7. I don't know that he's. I think the goalkeeper position is open right now. So
I wasn't
unclear
counting him
if he's
European-based guy because he's going to be in MLS. But yeah, he technically is. So yes, I think he would definitely be on the list as well.
He would be my only other guy that I would say, yeah, he's getting called in, even if he's not necessarily. He may come in and sit the bench. I don't know where Bruce is going to go there. He may. I think he's going to look at who kind of has the hot hand. If Howard's back and playing, Howard's going to be doing it. If Guzan looks good in practice, maybe he'll get a shot.
Yeah, I don't think he has to decide until 2 days before the game. So, he's going to be called in. Howard's going to be called in if he's healthy. Even if he's close, I think Howard's going to be called in, and then probably instead of probably Bingham or maybe Raimondo, one of the MLS guys gets.
I assume it'll probably be Raimondo because of his experience.
Mm-hmm.
Will be the potential number 1, and I think that's why it'll be Raimondo. Is you're really looking at 3 guys who are battling for the number 1 position. You're not looking to fill the roster here. You're looking at 3 guys who Bruce is considering to be his starter for both those games. So that's where I think Raimondo probably gets the nod. But anyway, that's off our European topic. So
notice I did not put Timmy Chandler on my locks because I don't know that he is. I think he was under Jurgen for a while there, but a lot of people gave him a lot of heat for that performance. The last 2 performances he was out there, he didn't look like he cared, and I know that that's not something that Bruce would appreciate. So I think ultimately he makes the team, but my guys who are on the fringe would be Timmy Chandler, Danny Williams, Julian Green, who I'd like to see, maybe Perry Kitchen, maybe Eric Lehigh, and maybe Tim Ream. And then I had a couple guys, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Gideon Zalalem, and Bjorn Johnson, who maybe he just wants to get crazy and give one of them a shot. 2 of those guys actually need to be cap tied at this point. Zalalem does not, but it'd be cool to see him in as well.
I could see Lehigh maybe even being in the lock category because he can play left back. So right now, I think that's probably Villafaña's position to lose based on kind of what we saw in the January camp. But Bruce did drop Lehigh's name last week when he was discussing potential players. That to me is a good sign, and I think there's a good chance he at least makes the roster as a backup, if nothing else. Maybe help push Villafaña for the starting job, but or serve as if he gets injured or gets a red card or whatever, can't play in the next game or something, then maybe he's on the list.
Gianluca, what's your take on this? Are there any guys that you believe need to be on this roster?
Well, I don't think so, because first of all, in these 2 matches, the US team need to restore their identity. So kind of there is no time for experiment. I think Bruce should go with the same spot of players of that Jurgen used to play with, because they are two important games. They are two very difficult games, especially the second one. But I would go for an offensive team. For example, you mentioned Yedlin, which is doing very well in the championship, and Pulisic, and I agree with about Eric Lichai. Who's doing very well with Nottingham Forest, and left back has always been a bit of an issue for us. So kind of if we settle that, I think we are good. One problem with the team is that recently there have been many players playing in many positions. So kind of I think the team is still to stabilize itself
Yes, definitely.
and gel with each other, and every match you know who's playing and where not. You start a match, he's playing striker, he's playing defender, like we used to be under JK.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because so many Klinsmann made so many roster changes that in many cases the guys I don't think knew who was going to be there. It was hard for all of us looking at it to name who the starting 11 would be. So I think I didn't expect Bruce Arena to even experiment with the team as much as he has. I kind of expected them to settle on an 11, probably a 4-4-2 lineup, and keep things that way for good, or at least up until probably the World Cup. So he's shown more willingness to change things than I expected, and that's where I think maybe you could see someone like Eric Lehigh come in, but I don't know. We'll certainly see. But yeah, I think we haven't list we've got at least.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think the list of guys who are locks are standard enough that you can consider them. Bruce isn't going to experiment there, and like Gianluca said, like we need to make these. We need to win these games, so we need to not screw around. We need to go out with guys who know what they're doing, are consistent, have experience, and can just get the job done.
Bruce hasn't had a shot at a real game yet, though. I mean, we saw some messing around in January camp, but I think that's to be expected because you have the opportunity to. At this point now, I expect him to lock it down, and with maybe one change per game, or dealing with injuries, that sort of thing, I expect pretty much the same roster for a while here. And what's very important here is that I expect guys to be playing the same position, where they come into camp and they know what position they're supposed to be playing, which was definitely lacking under Jurgen. And Jurgen did that by design. He wanted guys to be uncomfortable. And Bruce has actually said the opposite. I want my players to feel comfortable and know where they're going to be. And I think there's something to be said for what Jurgen was trying to do. But right now, what we need is consistency, and we need guys who have an idea of what they're supposed to be doing. Because if they don't have that, you see what can happen in the Mexico match and at the beginning of it, and then after we started to lose control of the Costa Rica match. It can get ugly, and we can't afford to do that again.
Yeah, that's kind of why I didn't name Emerson Hyndman on my potential list or possible list.
It off.
Because, well, if he keeps scoring for Rangers, I think he's going to present kind of a case where you have to call him for something. You have to give him a chance. I think because of the position he plays, he probably gets pushed to this summer and gets brought in for the Gold Cup or something, and he gets his chance to prove himself there. And then if he succeeds there and still looks good, then probably he's in the qualifiers come the end of summer.
We're going to talk about Aron Johannsson here in a second, but Gianluca, I have to know, what do you think of the new red third jersey?
Oh well, to be honest, I like red kits. The issue I have with this kit is that it's kind of copied from England, Portugal, and other national teams. So
yeah,
and I think Nike are lacking originality in recent times. I don't know why, especially with US kits. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I could actually probably find a way to get behind it if it hadn't already been worn by England and Portugal.
Do we get Cristiano Ronaldo if we have to wear Portugal's jersey? Yeah,
We suddenly have a lot more female fans.
It's grown on me. Since I first saw it, it's grown on me. It's
I still
okay.
don't like the gold crest. I don't understand the gold crest.
That does make it does make it look a bit like a Valentine's Day special or something. But I like red jerseys too, and we haven't had enough of them. We had one. I mean, I guess the Waldo had a lot of red in it. We had the 2011 red, and then the 2006 Don't Tread red that we wore once. So, Jared says he really wants Hyndman to take over for Benny or Sasha at the number 10. Maybe eventually, yeah. Do you want that right away, though? Do you want that in March? That's the question.
See, I don't see that happening in March because, like Gianluca said, we need consistency. We need proven capabilities. And if you go with Hyndman, yeah, he seems to be playing out of his mind right now. What happens when you suddenly put him into an international game? I mean, he has he ever played for the U.S. at the full national team? I mean, he played for the youth squads a number of times, but I can't think of a time that he's actually played on the full senior team. So, to me, he still is a question mark, and he still needs more time to prove himself. When you figure just 2 months ago he was at Bournemouth and wasn't even playing, and was probably watching, so much of his career, much less his international career, kind of float away. To me, yeah, he's had a great month or whatever it's been now with Rangers, but and he presents an interesting case come the summer. But for the time being, I think it's Sasha Question and Benny Feilhaber in that number 10 attacking midfielder spot. And you just go with what you know right now and hope for the best. Especially when at least we're not going out against Mexico or something again. So we have a little bit of time. We're playing kind of the bottom of the hex right now, or what should be the bottom.
Not counting us,
considering where we sit. Yeah. So there is an opportunity, I think, to go with consistency, even if consistency may not have the same peak. Hyndman, the way he's playing right now, may have a higher peak than like Kleshtin or Feilhaber, but Feilhaber and Kleshtin both have a higher ground floor than Hyndman does, I think, right now.
Aron Johannsson, a guy we talk about quite a bit on this show for a guy that doesn't play a whole lot. Rumors are this week that he could be joining one of 3 MLS teams in the summer: Colorado, New York Red Bulls, or Vancouver Whitecaps, which that one doesn't seem likely to me, considering they're going to bring back Freddie Montero. But his time at Werder Bremen, 15 appearances, 3 goals, and that's in more than a year and a half there. So it's been a struggle with injuries and lack of playing time. It may be, we always talk about on this show, we want the U.S. players playing at the best possible club that they can play at while they're still playing. So they can, but they still have to be playing. And in Johansson's case, he's just not getting the playing time right now, in part because of his injuries. But it may be a good move for him to come back to MLS. I should say come to MLS this summer. And to me, of those 3 teams, Colorado seems like probably the best fit. What do you guys think about this? Should Johansson jump over to the States and play here?
Yeah, I'd be for it. I mean, he definitely needs to get playing time again. The injuries have killed his chances in Germany. He's got the talent to play at that level, but he's just not going to get the chances when he keeps getting hurt. So he needs something that's going to get him on the field. I'm curious though. I mean, the last time when he went to Bremen, the MLS looked at him and his price was too high. So I'm curious, has his stock fallen enough because of the injuries that, you know, Bremen is willing to kind of sell him off at a loss and let him go, or will someone in MLS actually sign him to a DP deal when he's 2 years really removed from being a truly kind of relevant player for the U.S.? At least 2 years.
I don't know that he gets a DP deal, honestly, but maybe if there's a team who's Colorado would just have Tim Howard, right, as their DP. Yeah. I don't think, was Jermaine a DP for them last year? I don't remember.
Probably.
But they have spots available is the point. So maybe somebody's willing to take a chance on him. He's young still, so there's a tremendous amount of upside if he gets rolling. So, but the thing I think you worry about though is, you know, it could go the other way too. We've seen Michael Bradley isn't the same guy he was when he was at Roma, and mixed disc root has fallen off the face of the earth since coming here. So, I don't know. Gianluca, what do you think? Does Johannsson, should he come to MLS? Is that a good move for his career?
At this point in time, I think yes. He's 26 years old. He has a lot of injuries, and he's the team who's struggling in Bundesliga and who probably will go down this season. So in Europe, he doesn't have the right environment where he can play freely, where he can expose his talent. I think if he comes to MLS, with due respect to MLS is not a league which comprises a lot of pressure like Bundesliga. So kind of you can play free without pressure. And Colorado, as you said, needs a striker like him. So kind of if he feels that he's important, relevant, I think it will help also his mentality, because I think he's a bit soft. I think he has some mental issues, kind of. Maybe his self-esteem is sometimes hurt, especially when you get hurt in a long-term injuries. So I think a move to MLS will help. And then from that we take it, like as you said, there have been downfalls like this, and that depends from the player. If he's satisfied in playing in MLS, I think his level of quality will still go down year after year. But if he takes MLS as a stepping stone to go again in Europe, I think that will help him, Colorado, and also MLS, because if from MLS he goes again, for example, Bundesliga, that helps MLS to have more exposure, and clubs from Europe to go and seek players from MLS. So it's kind of a win-win situation if it works well. And I hope he comes back, because striker, and I think the national team as well.
Yeah, I would say I agree. I hope he comes to MLS, scores a lot of goals, and in a year or two goes back to Europe and gives it a try again. I mean, I'd much prefer. I like to see some guys playing here because it's fun for us because we get to see them in person then. But overall, I would rather, if you're going to be a member of the United States men's national team, I would rather you be playing in Europe because the competition level is higher and that makes you better. But you don't get better by sitting on the bench. So,
or in the training room,
yeah,
or at the hospital or wherever else he's been. Yeah, no, I think it's a good point that this gives him a chance to sort of rebuild his career and get noticed, so maybe he can go back to Europe. But on top of it, it gets him noticed again for the national team. Bruce, I think, is willing to. I see Jared's made a comment about Bruce is going to bring in key talent from MLS to play for the U.S.
That's a good point.
Go star in MLS for a while. You'll get noticed. You'll get the confidence. You'll show what you can do, and you'll have another chance to get on the roster for the U.S. Because right now, while the top two forward positions are absolutely taken, maybe you could even say top three with Jordan Morris. I think beyond that, there are a lot of question marks. Maybe Giazzi Zardes plays as the number 3 or 4 forward. Maybe he plays as a wing. It's the depth chart there, I think, has a lot of questions. And I think, guys like Juan Agudelo are far enough down that a strong season in MLS, suddenly Johannsson could be above him. And right now, where is he? 9th, 10th, maybe on the list. he's below guys like is it Bjorn Johnson or the guy from Hearts, who has never even played for the U.S. It's not even clear if he would come play for the U.S. if called. But in terms of just options of players out there who we could call up potentially, I think even he is above Johansson, and I don't know, a chance to get regular playing time, to start, to score, to show off his skills again. I think that's a big move for him. So I think an MLS move would be a good move for him. But yeah, I'm curious, because he was too expensive for MLS the last time around. Are they willing to do it this time? I don't know.
There's some conversation going on right now. What do we think of Bedoya? Elmer wants to know. Jared says nothing. Replace him with Leggett. I think Bedoya isn't exciting. He's fine. He's okay. He's not going to make major tactical errors in my view, but he's also not going to wow you either. So he kind of fills a role. But yeah, I think there's more. I know LA's played Leggett in that wide position, and I kind of like that idea too. I'm more excited about what Leggett can bring than what I already know Bedoya can bring. But Bedoya gets a lot of crap too, and I don't know that he necessarily deserves it all. So I think he's a fine player. I think he's solid.
Leggett has better offensive upside.
Definitely.
He's a better attacking player. Bedoya has better defensive capabilities. Now, he's certainly been a good right midfielder, while Yedlin was struggling with some of his defensive abilities when you want to put that speed out there. And that's still where I see, because you can let him kind of cover some of that space that Yedlin is evacuating when he's sprinting down the field to do those overlap runs. So it gives Yedlin more freedom, I think, to attack if Bedoya is there to cover for him. And in that regard, I don't know that Leggett has the same strengths, because Leggett wants to go attack too. And so while he's a better attacker than Bedoya, he's not as good of a defender. And I think putting him in front of Yedlin, we'd have an awful lot of attack coming up the right side, but will we have any defense coming up the other team's left? Will they just overpower their left side to compensate and tear us apart that way? I don't know.
Jared says, "Isn't that what we need?" Yes, we do. Yeah, we need goals. We aren't scoring goals.
That is true.
We're not scoring goals against we're not scoring even against pretty bad teams right now. So yeah, I agree. We need something, but I think that he's going to put Pulisic on the right. I mean, Bruce likes to play players where they're comfortable. That's where he's been playing with Dortmund. So I would not be surprised if he sticks with Pulisic on the right.
I've wondered about Fabian on the right too, for the same reason. Although, the same question kind of could be asked if Villafaña becomes the left back. He's still new to the program. Do you put Fabian in front of him as defensive cover? In that regard, I think Fabian is a nice option as a midfielder, because he kind of provides the same, in a sense, the same capabilities that Bedoya does. Plus, he's a great attacker. So, he fills that need there, allowing you to have a full-blown attacker and a good defender to cover for defenders who you want as attackers. So, I'm curious who will be on the left and who will be on the right, but I think it's probably Fabian and Pulisic. If nothing else, you want Pulisic out wide to use his speed. Which side does he play on? Fabian was on the right for, or has been on the right for Mönchengladbach. Gladbach? I can't speak right now, but lately was on there today. Almost scored today. Put a shot off the post. Actually, we haven't seen it. He's kind of unlucky to have not scored, but it was a nice shot. Just unlucky that he slammed it against the post. I mean, it was like a rocket off the post. It seems to me that Leggett, I do like that. Yes, he brings more offensive abilities, and maybe for the next two games, that's okay. You don't need to focus as much on defense, but I don't know. I mean, we've had him out there against teams that probably are, I don't know, on par with the teams we'll be playing over the next month, in the next month, whatever. And, we still weren't really scoring. So we got one goal. Is that enough to warrant his inclusion? Will that mean we score? I don't know.
There's one thing that Bedoya does better than anybody else on the team, and that is pick fights with people on social media. Just ask Hope Solo or Eric Winalda or any of the number of people. Hey, if you didn't see it, Gold Cup tickets go on sale this week. There was a pre-sale code sent out today. If you didn't get it, I haven't seen anything from American Outlaws. I'm waiting for that, but yeah, so it's time to start buying up Gold Cup tickets if you're planning on hitting any of the matches in, where are we playing? Nashville, Cleveland, and what's the third?
I don't remember.
I can't remember the third right now. Somebody will know. But yeah, so go buy up those tickets, and we'll see you at the Nashville match is the plan. Maybe more. We'll see. If this really takes off and we're making like millions of dollars, then yeah, we'll go to all of them for you. But until then, we'll go to the ones we can afford to go to. I think we've covered it, guys. Gianluca, do you have any? Chris, you got something?
I was going to say, Elmer's asking if we've heard any word on Tillman, the kid at Bayern that we're trying to pull up.
Another Julian Green situation.
Basically, yeah. I hear he may be open to it, but he did get a call from us, over last summer? I can't remember when it was, and did choose to go play for Germany instead. So long as the Germany spot, as long as the Germany spot is still dangled in front of him, he's not going to come play for us. But we got a shot, maybe. We'll see. Maybe Julian could make some phone calls back to Bayern and say, hey, check out the US. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I wouldn't go. I mean, unless you have any great emotional attachment. If I'm a kid who's grown up in Germany, I'm going to play for the German national team probably if I have the opportunity. Plus, they're the best team in the world or one of the top 2 or 3 at any given time. Yeah, I would probably go there. But if I'm on the fringe, maybe I come here. All right, Gianluca, any final words? We really appreciate you joining us tonight. It's been fun. Anything else you wanted to add?
Just to add a bit with the last thing that he was talking about, the player that we want to draft from Bayern, and I think about national teams. We are rolling into years where it do not exist anymore. So if we have to get this player, even after maybe next 5 years, because Germany doesn't call him up, I think we should still go after him. I think the US have a lot of options like these. There are many players who can play for the US, so if they do the research, I think they can still find their players. Nonetheless, I think clubs need to start focus also on their academies, but I still see the lack of American players in the academies. I mean, American players with high quality of soccer, not kind of just quantity. So I think besides searching for these kind of players, I think we need to start working on them, because it's true that they maybe play with my American academies or anything else, but it doesn't mean that they are better than the American players, because at the end of the day, how many of these academy players at Bayern make the cut with the senior squad? 1 or maybe 2. So
yeah, it's not many. Yeah, they it's sort of like the comment when Julian Green came to the US that we got one of the fish in their pond or whatever they said. So maybe this kid will be the same way, but I think it's going to come down to whether or not he truly has a chance to represent Germany, which realistically is has been the case with all these guys. Like Jermaine Jones truly had a chance to stay with Germany long term. He never would have made his switch to come play for us, or I highly doubt he would have. Julian Green, Fabian Johnson, all these guys did it because in the end, they had a better shot of playing in the World Cup or whatever with the U.S. than they did for the country they were born in. So We'll see. It's an interesting idea, or it's a promising idea maybe, but I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it yet.
All right. The website is USfanTV.com, Twitter, USfanTV. We are USfanTV on Facebook and Instagram as well. We don't like Snapchat. And if you haven't already subscribed to our fine YouTube channel, we appreciate you guys watching. Chris, any final words?
That is all. You are done.
All right. You are done. See you guys next week.